Texas Tech men and women won the Big 12 track and field championships over the weekend, and they keep on adding to a large cabinet filled with trophies and much more. And the great coach, Hall of Famer Wes Kittley, joins us on 365 Sports. Coach, thank you very much for your time. You have been a part of so many championships, conference championships, national titles, and so much more. To start off, when was track and field in your blood?
Well, thanks for having me. It's a great honor to be with you guys. I think, I was raised in the big city of rural Texas, and my granddad was the sheriff in rural. And he took me up to the track when I was 6 years old. And I saw the men's track team working out. And I saw them pop the trunk on their car and pull out these spikes. And I thought I'd died and gone to heaven when I saw them put those things on. And they let me jog with them. And I just kind of got hooked when I was about 6 years old.
So, I mean, cardio has never been a problem with you, right? Is that something from when you were younger, you just always ran?
Well, that's about right. And I was raised 12 miles out in the country, out in the boondocks. So we did a lot of running on those dirt roads.
When did you first realize that you could yourself individually be successful running track? I think you ran the 800 meters, might have been your specialty. Was there a moment when you were very young, not just when you learned and fell in love with it, but when you actually had success?
Yeah, I think the turning point for me was my freshman year in high school. My dad held the state record, or the high school record for 22 years in the district until Art Browse broke it. And Art Browse was my teammate. But on my freshman year in 1974, I got to make the mile relay with my brother, Art Browse, and Tommy Cornelius. And they were seniors and I was a freshman. And we won the state championship that year. And it turned everything for me. Like, man, I fell in love with it.
How much have you always had, and you hear about football, the high school football in Texas, and how track and field off-season for football is a huge deal to be a part of. How many times have football coaches come up to you and said, "Wen, we need you to help us out"?
Oh, a lot. And I love it. Kingsbury kind of started it here, even at college, and then Joey's just awesome about it and helped them recruit. And of course, my philosophy is at Rural we had football, basketball, and track, and you did them all three. And you didn't play football if you didn't run track. And I think it makes a big difference if kids are well rounded.
Coach, how much of an energy and just positive vibe is floating around Lubbock, Texas? I mean, you've been winning titles for a long time and continue to do that, obviously, but mentioned Joey, and I just hear "let's go" in my head every time his name gets brought up. Grant McCaslin signing a new extension, softball winning the Big 12. Can you describe, and as somebody that's been there for a very long time, what it feels like in the LBK at the moment?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, I'll tell you. I've never seen anything like it in my 26 years. I've been here a long time. I'm the old veteran. And, Joey brings a lot of excitement no matter what. But I think when, as you know, with the NIL and what they've done, and especially y'all had both the McCaslin and him at Baylor, two superhuman beings and bring a lot of energy and are just great coaches. But, I've never seen anything like it. And then the softball deal this year, they brought in the big NIL for our pitcher. And so it's just been the buzz, and we've been fortunate to win a few in track and field. And so, there's a lot of excitement. I can tell you that.
Coach, what are your thoughts as we move into this, whatever next phase is in college athletics, as they await the House settlement versus the NCAA, and how it might or will affect track and field?
TryTreats.com. Mason's in here too. We have the treats that shows everything that's in the box. Alfina, probably chocolate. What do you guys think? A Mickey sesame snack with honey. Chris Strusky. Those are pretzel sticks. Milky creamy fudges.
That's good.
We have hazelnut bread. I'm thinking these might be like Cheetos, but like long sticks. Then we got like a little classic bar. Legendary Smack. Delicious crunchy cream wafers.
Well, I'm always a positive person, but I'm a little more concerned now. What's going to happen for the very first time is In men's track, you have 12.6 scholarships. In women, you have 18. And you're about to see, in a sense, the powers. They can now go to 35 men's scholarships or in 45 in the women if you do that. And, of course, a lot of schools, including us, we're not going to do that. So I think you're going to, for the first time ever in the future, have people with 12 scholarships and some with 35, some with 18 scholarships on the women and with some with 45. So it's going to be the most uneven that it's ever been. And I think in our sport, without the big NIL and those type things, it's been pretty even, and it's a true championship. Everybody's got 12 scholarships in the men. Everybody had 18 in the women. And, if you make a mistake or two with the Texas Tech, you don't have a chance to build a program here. And so that's my worry. The other side of me is I got to figure it out, and done.
Coach, is coaching college athletes the same now, or is it drastically different with the influx of all of the changes? You're teaching the same things, right? But is there more time now spent in other areas for you? Is it pretty much like it's always been? Just how have changes outside affecting the sport maybe affected or not affected you as a coach?
Yeah, I think it has changed. Us teaching technique and how to sprint and throw and jump and all those things, that never changes. But, we never had in most of my coaching years of 41 years, Abilene Christian 15 and then 26 here, you'd get a kid, and if anyone wanted to leave, well, then they had to pay a penalty for it and sit out unless you released them. And so now it's we won the national championship last year indoors, and then we had 14 kids calling us on the portal wanting to come to our program. It's just unbelievable. Some grad transfers, some youngers. So, we used to take kids and coach them for 4 years, develop them, and now there's just to stay up. I've got to use the portal, and I've got to get the best kids to get on there. Florida or Texas A&M or Texas, or somebody's going to get them.
So you won national titles at Abilene Christian, and you won a chunk of them. What was it like when you broke through in 19 and then last year in men to win the national title?
Well, I can't tell you that 19 was I always thought Texas Tech was a gold mine when I was at Abilene Christian, and I was beating them when I was at Abilene, and I couldn't understand why. But, I'm a West Texas guy. I love this area, and I always thought this was a great place to build a program. And so for me, it was the ultimate. It took me 20 years, to win a national championship here. And it took me 5 to win the first Big 12 championship. But 19 was just the ultimate for me because it was in Texas at the Longhorn Stadium, and there was no other place I'd rather beat somebody than there.
To have won a national title indoor, outdoor for somebody that doesn't know any better, is there a drastic difference? Is one more difficult than the other?
Very good question. Indoors, it's a different thing, and I have a beautiful facility that Texas Tech gave me, and so I'm so thankful of that. But you have 5 or 6 weeks to qualify for nationals, and it's all on time, and they only take 16 people per event. So you've got a very rushed January and February, and you either make it or you don't. With a Big 12 championship in at the end there too. Outdoors, it's a regional system where you just got to be one of the top 48 people in the West region we are in, and there's an East region, and then you get to go to A&M like we're going this next week. So there's not as much pressure for me outdoors as to get the kids ready. I have more time. Indoors, I have no time, and it's just go, and you're lucky or you're not.
This segment with Wes Kittley, track and field coach at Texas Tech, brought to you by North Star Funding Partners. We appreciate their support. So how do you manage the legs, the bodies as the season progresses? Let's go outdoor, since that's what we're currently discussing after you swept them, the Big 12 over the weekend. How do you, as you lead into the next level, keep them fresh, but also make sure they're sharp?
Man, that's another great question. It takes its toll. We've been working out since September. We've started racing, throwing, jumping in January, and to keep kids healthy all year long, it's our greatest challenge. And I got 2 hurt at the Big 12 meet this past weekend. I'm hopeful it's not anything that won't keep them out this week, but it's just very hard when you they're on the sprint relay, they're on the mile relay, they're in 2 other events, and you do that during the year. We try to pace them out, and we try to periodize the year to where you are fresher at the end. And we do that. We don't run them maybe quite as much and not run every meet. I think it's also in our sport what hurts. We go to meets and don't score. People don't understand that, but they don't realize just how long our year is.
Mm-hmm.
And we go to June, and then if you make the Olympic trials, you're running until July.
How well versed were you with the 8 programs that have joined the conference in just the last few years, and what kind of a different dynamic or maybe some things that have stood out about some of those programs have you noticed or notable to you from the past couple seasons?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit easier maybe for me in track and field and maybe like tennis and golf and those things because we were running these people all along.
Mm-hmm.
In football and basketball and those things, we weren't playing them. But I think it really makes a difference. We had to go to the West region and run Arizona State, Colorado, all the people that are the new ones that are coming in, Utah women, those people. So I knew a lot about them. I've been doing this forever. One of my former assistants is the coach at Arizona State. And Fred Harvey at Arizona, we coached against each other at Division II, and he was at Cal Poly and me at Abilene. And so I've been around a long time and pretty well know the program. So I think it was a little easier. And they add a lot. What's changed is we had 12 schools, and now you got 16.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, the quality, you can't have an average kid now. Mike used to have a kid, develop them, and they could get 7th or 8th, and you're so proud of them and move on. But now you got to get a better kid right off the bat because it takes more to score now because of 16 teams.
So you have a son in Zach who's now at Florida, coaching in Florida. He was at Tech. You saw him every day because he was on the campus. Now he's at Florida Atlantic. His journey from being a part of Tech, going to Tech, and where he's been and where he is now, and watching your son as he climbs this ladder of coaching.
Yeah, I'm so proud of him. He started off helping me being a manager on the team. And then he walked in my office one day sheepishly and said, "Hey, Dad," he kind of had his head down, "I want to be a football coach." And I said, "You do?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, I want you to go over there and see Sonny Cumbie and Cliff Kingsbury, and you tell them that you want to volunteer." And I knew Cliff got up about 5 a.m. every morning, and they would have him up there early. And he was either going to love it or hate it. And after one semester, Cliff called me and said, "Kittley, this kid is mine. I'm putting him in the quarterback." And so that's where it all started. And he's just loved it. And he got all crazy when Kingsbury was throwing that ball around, and he decided, man, this is what I want to do. And then having Patrick and Davis Webb and even Baker Mayfield, he was always in the room with them when Cliff couldn't be. And so I think that's where it all started for Zach.
You have a resume. You're going. Well, I can't remember exactly when you were inducted into the U.S. Track Hall of Fame. What did, besides the obvious, what did that mean to you? And obviously validated what you've accomplished.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. No, that was kind of the thing. That's your peers that picked that,
Mm-hmm.
and it meant a lot, and it continues to. Any Hall of Fame. I'm in a few of them, and they all mean a lot. But that one really meant a lot because it got picked by all my peers. And I've been in both divisions, Division II and Division I. And so I knew those guys for all those years. And, I got to have Zach and his family, and my other 2 boys and theirs, and my wife. And so it was fun. It was really neat.
Can you tell the story when, what was it, Gerald Myers, I think, was the AD at the time, and you applied for the job at Tech when you were at Abilene Christian, and that story about what they offered, and what were you walking out the door and things, the offer changed?
Man, I shouldn't have told that story. I didn't know it was getting. Yeah, Gerald had called me. I'd won 4 national championships at Abilene in '99, and it was like August 15th, and I had gotten the Tech job had come open that late. We're starting. Zach's going to start school, kindergarten almost in Abilene. But anyway, I got the call and to come on a visit. So I brought my wife, and we were here for the 2 days. They were recruiting us. and took us to dinner and showing us around. And then I had my last closing with Gerald, and he offered me the job. Well, I was making 30-something thousand at Abilene, and the job was advertised here for 65. So I thought, my goodness, that's enormous. And I was going to take it, but I just wanted to respect my wife, and she was in the hotel room. I said, Coach, I will be right back. I'm gonna go talk to Linda, and then I'll get right back with you. Well, I started walking, and he started walking me to the car in the parking lot. And Gerald thought I was walking away. And so I got about 20, 30 meters away, and he said, Wes, 80,000. And I turned and said, Coach, I will be right back. So, he had me at 65, but he didn't know it.
You need to write a book about the art of negotiation after that. And you didn't even know you were doing that. Last thing, we had Clyde Hart. Clyde Hart, the great Hall of Famer at Baylor, the 400 meter, all the things that they've done. And he wrote, there's a book out that Bryce Cherry wrote about him. What do guys like Clyde Hart mean to other legends like you and vice versa?
Oh, they mean everything. I mean, I admired him for the whole time they were there, and Todd Harbor and him, just great people. But just what they did and what Coach Hart did to really, when I was a young coach, he coached for a long time, and just set the standard for all of us younger coaches, and gave us the dreams of being able to do that. I always wanted to have team championships, and so I think winning the Big 12 means something, and national championships, and so they just all motivated me to try to be better.
Hey, Wes, great to have you on the show. Glad it worked out. Glad I contacted Duarte to set this up. We appreciate it. Congratulations on the conference title, sweeping them. And I know bigger fish to fry. We appreciate it. Good luck the rest of the spring and summer.
Thanks so much. I sure enjoy watching your show, and I appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much. Wes Kittley, the Hall of Fame track and field coach at Texas Tech.